Yeah, I want to say hi to Eric too. Hi, Eric.
Hey, Eric. Bruce, you want to say hello to Eric?
Hey, Eric.
Ralph?
Thanks for joining us. Eric, get off my lawn.
There you go. Sparky 107 wants to know how can he get to watch A Model Is Life or listen to A Model Is Life? How can he do that?
If he goes to amodelerslife.com, there's links there to the free site, which is Libsyn and iTunes, and there's other. You can get it on Google Play. He can get it on TuneIn and Spotify. But if he goes to the website, amodelerslife.com, there's links right there.
Zappa Gap.
Yeah. It's a CA type glue. Kevin said Flexifile plastic weld. And Ron was saying MEK.
No, I can use. No, I can weld with acetone. That works. It's beautiful. But I can't print this job in ABS. It has to be PLA.
So what I have here is, you'll see that I've got 9 different LEDs on here, and they're just kind of slowly changing. One comes on, one comes off. You know, it's kind of a slow pace. We could sit here all night watching this very slowly go, but you know, if you actually had these in windows in your different buildings, or even one in each different building, it doesn't even have to be windows in the same building, then you'd want it to go this slow or maybe even slower. And that's about the only thing I'm going to have to show you in the sketch. So we're going to go back to that real quick. Actually, let's build this thing first. So I just put it together so that you could see what we're going to end up doing. And what I'm going to do is just unplug my Arduino and tear this thing apart real quick.
Yep.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. Well, we made it to Thursday.
All right.
How about that?
Let's see what we got here. Let's do.
All right.
What is that? Get rid of that.
Let's see who all we got in the chat here. We got Dave, BNSF in scale. Hey, Michael, how you doing? Jaffa. Ralph, glad to hear everything went okay yesterday. Even though I thought yesterday was today. Yeah, we got Dwight in here. He forgot we're having a show. Dave Piper just popped in. Well, as usual, this is an open event, so anybody in the chat might want to get in on the panel. Just go to where we posted on Facebook and YouTube and hit the panel link, bring you right in. Yeah, it's already Friday for you, Jaffa. Yeah, we made it through. Dwight, he's asking about the lightning we had here. I didn't see it because I was doing a show.
Has it been raining a lot in your area, Johnny?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We've had rain every day. Last night got pretty rough. We actually had a cell come over top of the house. It's been a few years since we've had thunder actually shake the house. Like I said, I was doing a show, but I'm sure my son and both of his big dogs were scrambling trying to get under the bed. They don't care for hard thunder. He goes under the bed. I go out on the porch to watch it.
Yeah, if we have cats that will do that, they'll go hide.
Yeah. Yeah, Dave said he had a nasty hailstorm there in Arizona.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw something earlier today. Like it was Los Angeles and Vegas. The airports there were closed because of snow.
Yeah, I saw something about the snow in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
people were making snowmen.
Yeah, that was unusual for them, I'm sure. Yeah. Michael said 36 and sunny, felt like Miami. Gaffa said it's warm and sunny, about 30 degrees Celsius. Dave BNSF saw it coming, so he put his car in the garage.
45 in Boston.
Yeah. Well, there's Sparky. How's it going? Yeah, I kind of laughed. Ralph popped in on the chat here. He's still in the hospital. He said he's doing fine after his surgery, but he said he hates that spell correct. I wonder if it was actually the spell correct or it's morphine that made him spell howdy wrong. Probably a little of both.
Oh, really?
Hey, Brian.
Being in Tennessee, we're in the mountain area. It was raining last night and thundering and lightning. And it was like the sound of the thunder seemed more intense since we're closer to the clouds.
Yeah.
It rained. It rained so much that they started having some mudslides in some roads here.
Yeah. Yeah, we get a little bit of that here.
Yeah, I'm not used to that stuff. Getting used to it every day here.
Yeah. Yeah, I was over at John's today. I finally got that lift up built. It seems to work okay. But yeah, I was bringing the track out of a curve into it. I've had to take a few ties off. I was soldering copper ties to it to hold the track engaged. Yeah, it got to be a little bit of an ordeal.
Is it hand-laid track?
Nah.
Just repairs?
Yeah, just trying to get it done because we wound up had to take too many ties off, so the rail was springing out. Trying to do it right there on the layout. Okay. Those copper ties are not the same thickness. They're a little thinner than the plastic ties.
Right.
So there's a little gap in between there. I'm sitting there holding them up with tweezers and trying to get John to hold the track in place, just the whole track, just hold it, so I could get things soldered in. But I got it done. It took a little doing, so.
All right.
Here come Bob.
Hey, Bob.
How's it going?
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey, Jerry. Yeah, we hadn't seen you in a while.
Jerry.
Yeah, Ashley.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been doing much of my layout except kind of cleaning up some of the areas. Still looks like a mess.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Jerry said he's having heart problems again. Sorry to hear that. Next month, the 9th, is going to be a rough day for me. Be 10 years since I've had my heart attack. March 9th always kind of worries me until I get past it.
Yeah. Well, I know Sparky wants to know when my next train show is, and that's probably up in the air.
Yeah.
Don't know when. Who knows?
Yeah, only one
Could be in a couple of weeks.
Only one Andy and I talked about. See, RPM meet, I think it is. It's going to be in St. Louis around August. We'll head over for that. I got some local stuff I want to try and get to this year. We got a group that does steam or rideables. They have both steam and diesels.
Yeah, there was a train show that James and I usually go to in Lincoln last weekend, but we forgot. They don't really advertise it too well, so it's like it just didn't get in our radar. And it's like, oh, that's right. That was that weekend. So,
yeah, here comes trouble. What's that, Sam?
How you guys doing?
Doing all right.
Okay.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, Dave, BNSF. Yeah, the copper ties are not really all that bad. I've got a couple of track gauges, so I put them on there to hold the rails in place. My problem is just I don't have a good workspace up there over at John's, so it's kind of one of those after jerry rig stuff to sometimes get it done. But I got it. It's all engaged now. I want to get some different screws, so I come do it like everybody else. You know, it's just before it gets right to the bridge, I put a screw with a washer on it in between the ties to lock it down. So if I need to adjust it side to side, I can do that.
So does anybody here use a laser cutter engraver?
No.
No, nobody has one of those. Yeah, I've just been looking at things on YouTube and going, would it be worthy of doing something with one? I don't know. Spending that kind of money. Because I know I could make some stuff.
Yeah, you can do some pretty good stuff with it. Well, like you said, to justify it, you'll have to have a fair amount to do.
Yeah. Well, there's kind of a cheap Chinese one for like $400. That's been kind of pretty good from what I've been seeing, but you know, there's always, you know, it's the cheap side, and then you see the Dremel one, and it's like, you know, $5,000 for this thing, and it's like sweet, you know. You're going, oh, but I can kind of do the same thing with this other one that, you know, everybody says, well, it works, but throw this away, throw that away, make your own this, make your own that, and you know, jury rig this up, and you know, it's like, okay, this just looks like a redneck laser cutter.
Yeah,
but
like
I suppose I could do it.
Like I'd stay away from that. Mr. Glass, hadn't seen you in a while. He said, not a laser cutter, but I've been seriously considering adding a drag knife to my 3D printer so that it can be used like a cutting plotter. Okay.
Except for the price, I know there are some that have interchangeable heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was considering it because, you know, I was trying to make this bridge, and I was like, well, I would like it to look as normal as possible, but they don't make any box girders anywhere. So I was thinking, well, if I can make my own box girders, but I need a laser cutter to do that. Make all the little lines and pieces. Should I even waste my time?
Yeah.
Because it'd be too small, I think. So I was like, but I could fake it till I make it. You know, just make a panel that looks like it's a box girder and attach it to a piece of wood. You know.
Yeah.
So it's it's a facade on one side. Like, well, but I don't know. Thought about it. It's like, should I get into another hobby? I'm already starting to consider JMRI.
Yeah.
as another hobby, because it's a hobby all in itself, really. So I was like, well, maybe. And
Dwight said, yeah, a laser machine would be nice, but the money could buy a new loco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, how was that trip last? I remember you said you were taking a train trip in China. I don't remember you saying in Germany. You said he's been in Germany and China until mid-January.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
I dropped my drill. That could have been
still work.
Bad.
Does it still work?
Is the drill bit bent?
No, we good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would have been funny if the drill bit got bent.
That could have been.
Well, you know, I'm over at John's working. I've only got one small drill bit. Second hole I was drilling, it broke. It's like a 30-second drill bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost the drill bit that was like, it was the perfect size for something that I could fit my feeders through. So I had to use the one that was bigger for them because I lost it. And I don't know where it is. But
well, just go to Home Depot. You can buy a pack of 4 or 5 for just a couple of dollars.
Yeah, I have this. It's this big box full of them.
But you've already lost that bit, so you need to replace it so you got a full set.
Well, I mean,
they always come 4 to 5 to a pack, so now you got more that you can lose.
Yeah.
Or break. We're giggling because we've all been in your shoes. We're just trying to pass on our knowledge and experience because we are so old and have a lot of it.
Yeah, Sparky, I wasn't pushing. I was letting it do the cutting. Just I didn't pull it back out in time, and it loaded up and snapped. Because those little drill bits, you got to keep pulling them in and out or they load up on you fast. Plus, I was drilling in MDF, too.
Yeah.
And that will load a drill real fast.
Got to use a small drill, though, because those big, heavy drills tend to kind of weave it around a little bit and all of a sudden snap.
Yeah.
It ain't going in straight enough.
Could be worse. When I was about Sam's age and had a layout going, I was actually using nails, the proper thickness to drill holes.
It does work. Hammered in there.
It did work.
Yeah.
Actually, it worked better than the bits my dad had on hand.
When I was tearing apart my old layout, the one before this, it was just 2 4x8s. I couldn't find the drill. I had no idea where it was. So I had to take it apart with a screwdriver because I didn't have time to spend 2.5 hours looking for it. So I spent that 2.5 hours trying to take it apart with a screwdriver.
And your hand is sore now.
Yeah, it's still sore. This was 2 years ago, and it's still sore.
Yeah, screwdrivers are for those short, small jobs. You know, just a few screws. Yeah, I didn't learn that lesson the other day. I was putting in a bunch of screws by hand because my battery from my cordless drill was dead. So I'm like, I want to put these things up. I need that. Oh, just screw it in there. Yeah, it was a lot.
That's the reason why I always have 2-3 batteries. Try to keep them charged.
Well, the other battery don't charge. It charges up for about half an hour's worth of use and then dead.
No, it's getting old then.
Yeah. Well, it was the original battery, and then I got a new battery, and then that one still doesn't quite hold a charge either. So I'm thinking about getting a whole new drill bit or drill set. Get a different kind of cordless drill with better batteries. Maybe I don't know, Makita or something else.
Now I like the Ryobis. They work good for me.
Mm-hmm.
Go DeWalt.
Yeah.
What was that, Ron?
DeWalt.
I said go DeWalt. Go big or go home.
Shit.
Yeah. I can buy an engine for one of those drills.
Not as bad as you might think. I got mine for $99.
Yeah.
And the powerhouse and just battery lasts forever.
Someone I've been looking at is like $200-300. I'm like, I don't know about that one.
I'd rather have a steam engine.
Yeah. Let's see here, Michael Connolly. Still ballasting, Ron? Then Sparky's got up here the best tool for drilling holes and working on your layout space, a friend.
Yep.
Dave BNSF said Ron has one of those push drills. Yankee drills, what we call them.
Yeah, the little spiral drill for small stuff. I love that thing.
Yeah.
Little finger twist and.
No, it's you push it.
This has got a.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you push it. I've got a pin vise too.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to hold something with one hand and drill with the second hand, and you don't have a third appendage, those push drills can be really, really handy.
Yeah, we had them. We used them at work, but we used with apex bits to remove screws and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Little speed screwdriver, called them. It's out. It's in.
Yeah.
So, Ron, did you see the Kata USA survey?
No.
Yeah, they've got a little survey, a web poll about new locomotives that they're thinking about making.
Is it on their
Yeah, it's on
website?
The website. Yeah.
I will have to check that out.
They have Big Boy 4014. They've got a Milwaukee Road Little Joe electric locomotive and another Milwaukee Road bipolar electric locomotive. Both of them are ugly as hell. And then a Loram rail grinder.
Yeah.
And then a Union Pacific DD40AX.
Ooh.
And I'm like,
well,
the Big Boy has already been done by Athearn. Kato is going to screw it up. They ain't going to match it.
Right.
They need to do the DD40.
Yeah, that would be. That was. I think that would be. I think that would be to their strength.
Yeah. But most people are voting for the steam locomotive. I'm like, why?
Well, yeah, it's just because that's. People are thinking about what they think theoretically they'd like to have. Ricardo will make and make well.
Yeah.
Of course, none of that will directly help me, but yeah, an E40 on the market would be cool for a lot of folks.
Yep. Currently, it's 19% is going for the DD40 and 28% for the Big Boy.
They should come over to HO and make some of that stuff.
Well, they do have HO.
Stop speaking blasphemy, Sam.
Kato already has HO stuff.
I know they do, but they don't have that stuff, and that's what we want.
Well, in HO, Athearn has already blown away that competition for them for those locomotives. They already have a better quality looking DD40 and Big Boy, so they would never do it. On the other hand, you're going to get a more economical version is probably the only thing you're going to get.
Probably with the Big Boy though is, in my opinion at least, is better than the Athearn because it just is. I mean, the Athearn is plastic, and the Big Boy, or the Barley Limited one, is die-cast, and the sounds are more prototypical, and they have the smoke and soul and the smoke and lights that are more spread out, and it's better. It's more expensive, and I can't find them anywhere now because they only made one run of them, and they're all sold out everywhere, and they shot up on eBay, and I was an idiot because I didn't buy one when they first came out, and now I'm like, well, guess I'm never gonna get one. Hey.
Oh, you'll get one someday. Just probably not from them, unless they make another run.
Yeah, Brian W. just asked if anyone's using Arduino to control servo turnouts.
Yes, someone is, but not me.
Yeah,
I'm using Cam Valley.
I've seen some video. I'm trying to think of who it was. Somebody did a video on that.
Chris Hiley.
It's probably been but it's somebody else too. Did one though. I don't remember now who it was.
Yeah, Brian W. also said that they should concentrate more on diverse trackage, such as double curve turnouts. I guess Kato.
I don't know enough about the market to know what the demand would be, but I would think that if some manufacturer would really invest in some high quality steam equipment in N-scale, I would think the market would soak that up because it just doesn't really exist right now.
Bachman stepped up their game in Steam a little bit from what I'm seeing, but I don't have any of their stuff in Steam. But
how does it run? I mean, do you know how it runs?
I don't have really played with them, but I've been hearing some good things about it. So
well, that's good. My experience with Bachman and N-scale from the past is not real. It's not real positive, but again, I'm like you. I don't run anything that's recent, but
yeah, the only thing I can tell you is it runs on track.
Yeah.
Thanks, Johnny. You hope it does anyway.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, my DD40s, I got 2 of those, and they're noisy, and I think one of them's got broken gears now, so it just clicks when it runs, and it's just like, okay, I really didn't run them that much, so why are they broke all of a sudden? And
they're probably those split gears.
Yeah, it's just junk right now. I've been begging scale trains, hey, if you're going to make something that no one else is making good at all, and make the DD40. And of course, they're just laughing me off. We're never going to do that. Like, I'm going to keep bugging you until you do. Someone else is going to do it, and you're going to wish you had.
Yeah.
And now Kato is now poking the bear a little bit. They'll at least have a better running engine than Bachman will.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping to make it. Next time I see Alex from Kato, I'm going to poke him in the ass. I don't care how many votes you guys don't get for the DD40, you're going to make it. I'm I'm gonna put it on my channel. I'm gonna beg you guys to make it.
Yeah, Dave being
however many votes you got, only one vote counts.
Yeah.
Dave being SF in scale said, I'm not a fan of Bachman diesel, but I've not even bought any for years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been on the entry level quality for a really long time. And I know they're trying to step up and compete. So they have improved. You know, some things it has surprised me a little bit, but I still don't go out and look for Bachman.
Yeah, that comment there, Ron. Yeah, I was one time one of those rare occasions where I was riding with a friend of mine and she was driving, and we turned down this road and I told her, I said, hey, you realize this is one way, the wrong way from us? And she goes, no, you're right, it's one way. That's the way I'm going.
Yeah, Sparky, Bachman's the only one that's ever done a DD40 AX.
Atherton did one
Yeah.
8 though.
Yeah, but not in N scale. N scale, only one manufacturer's ever made one that I know of, other than in brass. Like,
yeah.
we could afford that. And nobody really wants brass anymore anyway. You can get better options and everything else, and looks better or as good with sound and DCC already installed. For less money.
Yeah, the Broadway Limited brass hybrids are. I've never owned one, but they're really awesome. They don't make them in N scale, but they're really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got a DD40 sitting around here somewhere. It's in the Southern or L&N, something like that. The Georgia Railroad did actually have one at one time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's a big long engine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, double. Basically two. It's like two Jeeps in one chassis.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's like multiple. There's like the DDA 40, and then there's like the DDA 38 or something.
I may have the DDA A or whatever.
There was a 35. There was a 35. There was a DDA 35 and then DDA 40.
Smaller, I think. I don't know the difference.
It has smaller prime movers.
Yeah. They never really produced the 35s and used them. They were test samples, basically.
Yeah.
And they quit making the 40 because they figured out that as brilliant as have two locomotives just permanently lashed together on one chassis, if one broke down, they were dragging it.
Mm-hmm.
No, Sparky. No, Sparky, my DD40 doesn't have smoke, and it likes the home it's got. He's asked if it had smoke and wanted a new home. It doesn't like cold weather. It's like me. And Dave BNSF in scale said, Ron, that yard is looking really good. When you get it done, I'll come by and load it up, take it home.
I don't think so.
What kind of switches did you use?
I'd like to see him get it out of here.
Yeah, what kind of switches did you use?
Pico, Insel, Frog, medium turn, medium radius.
Okay.
So basically number 6s with the. If I had it to, I started this thing long enough ago. At this point, if I was starting over, my track and switch choice completely different. I'm actually building this little switching layout, and I'm using all microengineering track. It's all code 55, number 8 turnouts on the whole thing, and I mean, this runs well. I just, but it's code 80 track and the Insel Frog turnouts.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing those.
But I'm gonna rip it up.
Yeah, I was going to do those, but I found I needed more space to use the Pico ones versus the Atlas. So I went with my Atlas.
You needed more space.
I just glanced over. Sam is putting the glue ball down. I see that white string. I'm going, what in the world's that boy done? Spreading glue all over the track, his bench, everything. It looks like a white string there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to be very upset if I have a turnout back there. I'm going to be very upset if it crowns again, because it crowned like 3 times, and I've had to rip it up twice, and I don't want to have to do that again.
It's going to keep doing it like they told you last week. Spike it down.
Mm-hmm. And make sure you put some gaps in periodically.
What's it doing?
It's crowning it in the middle.
It's bowing up in the middle.
Turnout itself?
Yeah.
Is the turnout not connected directly down in some way? Glued, spiked, something?
It's glued, but I'm not using the caulk. I'm using like Elmer's.
Try finding the spot to drill a hole and just put one track nail right in the middle of the thing to hold it down.
Mm-hmm. Right on the ends.
I've had to do that. Well, I had one down here. You're too far away, but all the way down where you are in the yard, I've got one because the turnout comes off of the main into the arrival departure tracks on the yard. There's an elevation through the turnout, and so and from that turnout it goes almost directly into another turnout because there's 2 arrival departure tracks. So that second turnout had issues, and literally, I mean, it's right in the middle of the point rails, closure rails, and just found the spot where one of them and drilled a hole and just drove one spike like right in the middle of the turnout to keep it from doing that very thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sparky.
Strategically, but
I didn't glue down or do anything to my switches. I just secured them on the tracks on the other side of each end of the switch.
I do that in most cases too. I'll glue under mine, but in most cases I don't do much else except for I've got a couple that are like that where they're coming into a yard off the main or something. When there's an elevation change through the turnout, it sometimes just needs a little something else to make it more stable.
Yeah.
Sparky's got a question here. Does anyone on the panel wish they went with a different scale, or super excited for where they are and going with their layouts?
Ask that again.
Yeah. Are we happy with our scales that we're doing, and are we super excited to see the future of what we're currently using, basically? Me, I just wish I had more space for HO and the money to pay for it. But I'm happy with my N scale. I've got, a small space, and I can do basically everything I want to do in HO in N in the space that I have. So my future for expansion is looking bright, and I'm pretty stoked for what I'm planning for the phase 3.
never been a more exciting time to be in N-scale.
Yes, it's getting better and better.
I mean, I got into N-scale about 20 years ago, and N-scale was starting to make some real improvements at that time, so I kind of got in on the tail end of some really bad N-scale stuff and on the front end of some of the kind of enough. But I can tell you that the advances that have been made in the N-scale market in the last 20 years are and I mean it's I think for good reason. It's the fastest growing segment of the hobby in America is N-scale.
Yeah, O-scale was like really popular, and then it turned into HO, and then I think N-scale will be the new HO in however long of time as things get smaller. It will be N-scale will become what HO is today.
Yeah, I think HO is still going to remain king for a really long time overall.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
But you know, N-scale is going to be rivaling it, you know, for a long time.
Yeah, I would really like to do O-scale, but it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's too big.
Yeah,
it doesn't
I like to see other people's O-scale, but I don't know that I won't even have a desire to do O-scale. To do something that would make it with the railroad I have in O-scale would require a dedicated building that I can't afford. I mean, that's just a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
and Sam's trying to start a war because he didn't mention S-scale. It was O-scale, then S-scale, then HO.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
S-scale was for Sam scale. So, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen, not in person, I've never seen an S-scale layout in person. I don't think. Maybe I did once, but I don't think I have.
Yeah,
I think S is.
I had a friend.
I think S is for serious.
Yeah, you don't see too many S-scales because it gets a little expensive and there's not a lot out there.
S is for
Glass. I've never seen this one before, but Glass said HO N3.5 here. Have some interest in S and O now, but no interest in the smaller scales that would actually let me build a layout in the space I have.
Oh, 3.5, 3.5 foot, 3.5 foot gauge.
Yeah. Then let's see, Sparky. N-scale has come up leaps and bounds in just the last 2 years, and getting better every year.
Yeah, I had a friend who was in S-scale, and he had his American Flyer portions, but he was buying prototype engines that were thousands of dollars and that long.
Yeah.
And he fit his layout that he in a basement room that was approximately 15 by 15.
Huh. Now, Brian W. said for larger scales, your best bet is to join a local club and use the club layout. Makes good sense.
Hey, Sparky said he couldn't put an N-scale train on the track. This is a true fact. N-scale trains are easier to put on the track than HO, by far. By far. Because you literally can grab and feel with your fingers exactly where the truck is and set it right on the tracks. And you can't do that in HO scale.
Plus, you got the little ramp thing too. Put that little ramp.
Yeah, you got
it.
Yeah, these.
Yeah. Get some bigger HO cars there, Sam.
What?
Get some bigger ones and then try that. Like 89 footers and stuff.
Hold on. Just give me a second.
Well, while he's doing that, how you doing, Jason? Let's see. Yeah. Day BNSF N scale. I got into N scale, bought a Lifelike starter set, then bought a Mini Trex GE6 axle. Totally disappointed. Then found a good hobby shop who pointed me to Cato.
Yeah, but you can't do both ends at the same time unless you use both hands. What Ron's saying is with one hand, you can do that with N scale.
Yeah, but still.
You can do it. It's easier. It's easier with INSO. It's easier to rail than it is HO.
Yep.
I hear a lot of arguments. I hear a lot of arguments that people give for why they don't want to do N scale, and some of in their situations, but that's not one of them.
Most of it's they can't see it.
Yeah.
Right, and I get that. Of course, I had extremely good eyesight until I turned 40, and then it started falling apart. And now, I use an optivisor for stuff. But
I started after getting my reading glasses.
Yeah.
I
still, at this point in my life, I will confess that if I get the opportunity at some point, there is one other thing in a different scale I would really like to do. I would love to do a 19th century layout that's dual gauge. Surrey meets the mountains. Do narrow gauge into the mountains and standard gauge into a town in the foothills. I would love to do that. I don't know if I ever will, because it would mean putting an awful lot. So.
Yeah, like I've seen videos of Eric Siegel's layout. He's O scale, and it's it's just insane. His collection is just insane too. It's just he has a dual gauge thing, I think, as well. He has the narrow gauge somewhere on his layout, but his layout
he's got dual gauge.
Yeah, I just find that dual really, really cool.
Yeah.
Jason's shaking his head no, but he does have dual gauge. I was there this year. Well,
I know Troy up there in northern Minnesota, where I got my Helix and Roundhouse and stuff from. When he switched to HON3, he's got a beautiful layout. I was like, why couldn't you just also go N scale? Put a little N in there, have a dual gauge N and HON3. He goes, no, I'm not going to do that. Get rid of all my N scale. So, well. But he's got a great looking layout. I need to go visit him again.
Yeah. Hey, Ron, I saw you slip in just now. He said the only reason why I gave up working on N scale is it's too fiddly.
Fiddly. Okay.
I'm not sure what that means.
In other words, he plays cello instead of a fiddle.
And I don't think I would wait if I were to ever switch to N scale. It would be a long time from now, because do
it now.
I'm
do it now.
There's no time.
I'm in the middle of building. Not middle. I'm at the very beginning of building HO. I can't.
It's time to start over.
You got some perfectly good bench work. All you got to do is rip that.
You got plenty of room for
ready to go.
Rip that oversized track off of it, huh?
I stand corrected, because Jason is right. We're saying that Eric had dual gauge, but what he's got is O scale and standard gauge. He does 3 rail and 2 rail in O.
I thought he had like a mountain town scene.
Yeah, that's just one track. It don't go far. That
right.
is yeah, small.
That's what I was talking about. I was like, it's not much, but it's kind of counts.
Let's see, what was it? Sparky was saying something about, yeah, the O scale was too toy-like and articulated. Sparky, go look at the standard O scale. T-rail engines. Yeah, those are not toy-like. They look good. They got a lot of detail on them.
I had a friend years. He was an O-scaler. I mean, he was a Lionel guy, but he collected the Lionel scale stuff, not the old toy train stuff. And he had a Challenger, and I want to tell you, I will say this: it was one impressive piece of equipment. And it was beautiful to watch it run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dave, BNSF, he said N-scale used to be inexpensive, but not so much anymore.
That is true.
That is, yeah. I've seen it. The N-scale stuff run almost the same price as what HO does.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it would run more just because it's difficult to make some of that technology smaller. I don't think the benefit of N-scale is price. I think the benefit of it is what you can fit in the same space.
Yeah, Ralph was saying N-scales for skinny fingers and good eyes.
I got both.
See? You're perfect.
Like the older you get, the smaller, smaller the scale goes.
Sam.
Yeah.
You just got muted. Hey, Andy.
Hey, guys. What's up, gentlemen?
We're arguing about which scale's better.
Yeah, I caught that. That's good stuff. I hate to miss a good argument, so I had to go ahead and hop in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it had risen quite to the level of an argument yet, but
you got exactly 30 seconds. Anyway. You got 30 seconds for the good argument.
It was getting it was getting there. If it wasn't a good argument, it was getting there. No, that's interesting to get people to chime in.
It's not even close to your standards though. Like
no.
Up there.
I like the good debates. I don't always have the answer, but I think it's really interesting to find where people land on it. On any good argument.
I'm trying to bring a little bit of the spirit of Vandy to N-scale. The hand coloring individual bricks was definitely there.
Absolutely.
The hand paint about 6 million to differentiate them was a little bit there. I have not come to the point of using fish plates on N-scale track yet, but anything is possible. I do have a switching layout over here that's going to be a little finer scale track, so it could be possible.
Well, they have. I mean, they have it. You're using flex track in a lot of commercial components, so they have the detail parts there. The only reason you've got to worry about all those crazy detail parts in HO scale, actually in any scale, is if you hand lay everything. Otherwise, flex track looks great if you can make it look good. And I like the way Mike Koffalo gets his track looking the same way as you did. Individually painting some ties does the trick.
Yeah, let's see. GRE 2057. I have 3 rail Lionel, and my Lionel consists of HO and Lionel. Layout consists of HO and Lionel. Then Dave, BNSF, he said, buy stock and optimizers for all of us older N-scalers.
Yep, I've got 2.0 reading glasses. I've got a magnifying light over here. And I think I got one of those head visor things too down here somewhere.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I have bifocals and an Optivan both at the same time.
Yeah.
When I'm doing stuff like that brickwork.
Yeah. Dave also said, but you use less paint in N-scale.
There you go. That's where you save all the money, is in the paint.
Yeah.
Possibly, but you see these in-scale guys' collections, they have massive, massive, massive quantities of rolling stock and locomotives. The larger the scale, the less equipment you have. So you may end up using the same paint, but you'd have to paint 8 boxcars for every one.
No, the company I bought it from painted it for me. I don't need to touch it.
There's that. What's that saying?
Unless you're Eric Siegel.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh, that's right. He does have. There are people who do have inordinate collections, but it seems like just about every N-scaler has massive quantities of equipment, and that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I keep buying more every month.
The O-scale is just don't. That is not something you see in the O-scale, and it happens more in the 3-rail where they have such massive collections with the Lionel stuff, but. And I wish there was a good way to, as when people talk about this stuff, to separate verbally the difference in old Lionel, old 3-rail, old O-scale template versus the old scale, whatever that is, whether it's just 2-rail or Proto 48 or any of the narrow gauges, because some of the best stuff that's done in the hobby is done in those ON3, ON30, Proto 48, O-scale 2-rail stuff. That's some of the best.
Scale opposed to
the
toy
typically
train.
Called N-gauge, or now typically say O-gauge. So people say O-gauge often to refer to the template stuff, but that's not a real good way to say that. I don't think we don't have a good way to say that. So I always tend to say template stuff.
Yeah,
but even
well,
that's not
holler
good.
at Marty and Lee. They just popped in. How y'all doing? And Jason just put in chat here, in 1906, Lionel introduced a new line of model trains that ran on track with a width between the rails of 2 1/8 inches.
Oh, I remember that. I was there. Whoa.
You pre-ordered that too, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
I've seen something.
And that's called standard gauge.
I've seen something. Lionel was supposedly getting her back in the HO again.
They are.
Yeah, they used to. They did make an HO Challenger, and I also have an HO Daylight made by Lionel in like the 70s or something like that.
Who's asleep? Somebody's snoring.
Wow, that was quick. We bored them to death.
Must be Ron. I don't see him over by his layout.
It's not me. I'm right here.
Greg.
It was Greg.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
He don't look like he's asleep.
He's day walking.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, standard gauge is bigger than O.
Yeah, and it's like number 3, I think. Number 3 gauge. Number 1 gauge, number 3 gauge is one of those I get mixed up. That G scale world's really complicated on scales. F scale, G scale, number 1, number 3, blah blah blah.
Let me jump in here real quick. Marty was asking Ralph how he's doing. Ralph's doing just great. He's complaining about spell check because of something he typed earlier, but we're not sure if it's the spell check or the morphine he's on.
I'm gonna go with the morphine.
I'm gonna go with the morphine too.
Actually, Ron, you're not seeing Marty. You're reading him.
Don't get technical with me.
How you doing, Greg?
Good. That end scale is really HO 2.5. So for us narrow-minded people.
Like ON 30. A lot of the people who want
that's 2.5. ON 30.
Same practicality. That's why I think ON 30 really took off for a lot of people for that reason. People who wanted to be at O scale, they didn't have the space or the money for the large scale. A lot of those people took off with ON 30. You've got a big resurgence in narrow gauge modeling because of basically what Bachman did for the most part.
Well, Blackstone is the big kicker for HON 3.
No question. Well, they made. I would never do narrow gauge years and years and years ago. I love it. Fascinated with it, of course. What modelers, especially theme modeler, is not. But until Blackstone, it wouldn't have been. It would have been very difficult. It was very difficult. Everybody I seen do it really struggled with brass locomotives until Blackstone come around.
Yeah, when Ken Patterson got into that dual gauge stuff, that was the reason why it was Blackstone.
Yeah.
When Blackstone came in, that's when he jumped onto the narrow gauge stuff.
Definitely.
But the Blackstone models are still like really expensive. I mean, the last time I checked, I mean I saw one that I was like, I should buy that, and I was like, yeah, no. Because it was almost the price of a brass hybrid, like a Broadway Limited, and I was like, I don't know.
Well, it's right on par with Steve.
What?
I think it's close to on par with the quality HO scale steam stuff. The difference being that Blackstone or anybody makes an economy class HON 3 locomotive. There's not any to compare with Bachman Spectrums or some of the, a little bit more economical to buy, less detailed out of the box locomotives. It is more comparable to a Broadway Limited, I think, or possibly Athearn Genesis or some of those locomotives. And it's priced up there. It's still a little less. I mean, like the Broadway Limited locomotives, $600 a pop.
Yeah,
that's not an exotic. You get into brass, you're going to be $500-600 to buy the brass locomotive. Could easily spend a couple $100 in making them run worth a darn, and decoders and all that. If the brass locomotive I've got to buy, I've just basically decided it's going to cost me $1,000. That's what it's going to cost me to end up with a brass locomotive that I want. They're tough.
I just bought a Blackstone, and it just was $425.
Yeah. Considering detail, I think it's competitively priced at the right price point, probably to compete with other of the quality of products. The only thing we don't have, ON 3 or ON 30 rather does, because Bachman offers some real economical offerings. You can do a lot to them, but they're quite economical. HON 3 doesn't have that. You're paying premium prices for every product that's on the market, because the only products that are on the market are pretty much premium products.
I mean, you can't even get any brass shays or anything anymore. I mean, they're so high priced. I mean, they're just out of this world.
Yeah. And Broadway Limited has just come out with their new K4, Pennsylvania K4, and they're charging like $4 or $5.99 for it, and it's just like that. The retail on some of these locomotives are absurd, and you can really get a lot of good deals on like different websites, and you don't have to order from the dealer themselves. Like you don't have to order directly from Broadway Limited.
All right, Dave, I guess we'll catch you later. He's sound like he was fixing to leave out. Getting a little late.
Okay, we ran out of things to talk about, didn't we?
Sparky was talking about Broadway getting up there with the superb details. And the price will match soon after. That's what he's betting.
Yeah. I'm on the fence about Broadway Limited stuff in N-Scale right now because it's like sometimes I get a good one and other times I get a bad one. So I'm not having consistency. The PRR one that I got from them was outstanding. Oh, the T1. That's an awesome locomotive. Pulls a lot. It's got, you know, traction tires on it. And sounds great. Operates great. The
Yeah.
AC6000, not the best one I got.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
That the T1's the one that pulled so well. I mean, even the prototype wasn't well known for having great traction. It's one of my favorite locomotives. As steam being my favorite class of locomotive, of course, T1, even though it's not my railroad. But the Pennsylvania, the Norfolk, and Western influenced each other a lot. But the T1's one of the most beautiful pieces of railroad engineering ever produced. With the artistic flair of that locomotive is just stellar.
Yeah. And that's the main reason I got it. I don't do Pennsylvania Railroad, but it's one of those things that I said, you know, if they remade those things and put them out on the rails for excursions and stuff, it would come through Nebraska. It would just have to. So I put them where
They didn't save any of those. Of all of them
No.
they have, they are saved. That you know, you couldn't put them under steam again, for example. There's plenty of steam locomotives sitting in fields somewhere that'll never be, you know, useful for anything, but they still survive. But there's not even a T1 that survived in that kind of shape.
Right, right.
Yeah,
So
Marty.
it's just one of those,
Oh, go ahead.
what if? Just what if, you know?
Yeah, y'all talking about the brass. Marty said brass locos. They're in Australia, start at 1,000. Then you need to replace the motor, gearbox, fix the decoder, then paint it. Finished, they'll go for around 4,000.
I'd have to find a new hobby.
Brass collecting equipment, it is almost a different hobby. There's a few people like Howard Zane and a few of these guys who buy brass, who build layouts and run their equipment. A few of them. The vast majority of them are collectors. They're in, you know, in shells. But I agree. There are, but there are things that happen with brass, much like with resin freight cars and some of these others that are. There's a value in low run numbers. They can do really eccentric stuff. Equipment that's not available in plastic because the run volume, the sale volume wouldn't be high enough. So they don't need to build 10,000 of some obscure locomotive. But if they want to run off 25 or 50 of that obscure locomotive, so there's a lot wider range, surprisingly, even due to cost. There's a tremendous lot wider range of diversity of equipment available in brass locomotives, even brass freight cars for that matter, but brass locomotives than there is in the plastics or hybrids.
Yeah, Marty said he's got Victorian Railway N class and D3 class steam locos, which he's been offered $4,500 each. Both have loc sound and SMD flickering firebox and marker lights.
That's in scale, no doubt. That's got to be tough to work with, but boy, people argue against what I really like brass. That people argue against that position that I have, but it's, don't get me wrong, but stock and most people's experience with brass is that they run like an Atherd from 1975 or something. They're pretty awful by default, and they've got a lot of issues. But if you properly motor them in gearboxes, decoders, and put the paint, you know, put some attention into painting it by somebody who really knows how to paint brass equipment, They're absolutely spectacular. There's nothing, no $500-600 locomotive by anybody is anywhere close to a brass done correctly, in my opinion.
Tim, are you making a bomb or cooking meth, or what are you doing there?
Acid.
Dropping acid? Somebody said, did he say dropping acid?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, well, somebody did ask if we were not keeping everybody excited. We put somebody to sleep a few minutes ago, so I guess he's making sure this gets
watch Tim blow up his house.
I think he's dropping stuff in acid.
Oh, gosh.
I had a friend who was had a whole line of PBL brass SN3 engines. I mean, they were the most beautiful engines, and they ran fairly decent.
Yep.
I do have three brass engines but I haven't converted them to DCC yet because they're going to need new motors and gearboxes and the whole 9 yards. Like you said, it's not a task I want to take right now.
And I'll tell you, I do have a tendency, and as anybody listened to me for very long, I have a tendency to want to do things myself. I have that. I will break down and buy things. I will do things that way, especially after I fail once or twice at trying to do it myself. I have a tendency to. I'm never going to do enough brass equipment to get good at it. I don't need enough brass equipment for my modeling aspirations, and don't care just to collect it. I just want a few peculiar or particular locomotives that are correct for this. My instinct is that I'm just going to pay. I'm going to pay somebody who knows how to do brass correctly, that's what they do is work with brass to remotor and regear. I'll do my own electronics. That's standard fare. But the guys who remotor and regear, and to some extent the guys who paint brass, that's a particular expertise where they've done it quite a bit and screwed up quite a few to actually develop the particular skills to do it well.
That same guy he did a lot of brass painting, but he had to sandblast take them all apart, sandblast them. Then I think he clear coated them, then he painted them. So it took a long time to do.
Well, we were just kind of talking about that last night. There was a model railroader just had a deal in there where a guy had suggested using Alka-Seltzer tablets or denture cleaner tablets
to clean after the
brass.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. And we were at the time, which we've been talking about this stuff that Tim's breaking acid down for about etching metal, the stuff. I had some of that I was working with on Tuesday's show, but and I want to make some of my own material. Tim's working on some to etch his own brass, but the sonic cleaners, I think that's what they call them, acoustic or sonic.
Ultrasonic.
Yeah. Yeah, hydrostonic or whatever. Yeah, those, and I would have expected that machine to be quite a bit more expensive, but I was curious. We were talking about the Alka-Seltzer working to clean some of this stuff. It'd be super useful to have one, and I'd seen Kid Patterson show one off, I don't know, some years ago on one of his shows. I figured it'd be a fairly expensive machine, but I looked on Amazon, and not that much money. It'd be a pretty valuable tool to have. I mean, even just to have around a spray booth to clean up all your spray equipment. And you can buy a small one, especially if all you were doing was airbrush parts and small detail parts and such. I mean,
Micromark carries a small one.
Right, 40 or 50. Well, on Amazon, like $40 or $50, maybe even a little less for the smaller ones. For me, the sweet spot was up in the mid-hundreds range to get a reasonably large one that I knew a brass articulated locomotive would go in if I ever did change my mind. It's not that much money, especially the $30 or $40 one. And boy, it'd sure be useful for a lot of stuff, I think.
The hardest thing for me would be drilling all the holes in the bottom of a brass tender. Just cutting them all apart.
Yeah, and you would have to, I mean, even putting some of them, I've got to get an E2A Pacific, just a little Pacific locomotive, but it's a little bit of an obscure boiler or dome configuration. So I'm going to buy the brass one. Northwest Shortline made it in 1978, which was a pretty good year anyway, and it's a pretty spectacular locomotive. They've done a great job on it. Of course, it's got the typical drivetrain of a 1978 brass locomotive. So, but they do make a gear kit for it, and there's a whole lot of them out there that there are drop-in gear kits or drop-in gear tower assemblies for. They're fairly easy to put them in. That part I don't have so much of a concern with, but the guys who have to carve around in there, like you say, to get a motor to fit and to get motor mounts fabricated in, that's the kind of tricky part, I think, is the fabrication.
Yeah, Glass said he's over in Japan. I might take a brass kit workshop at the Tokyo International Mall Convention this year. Well, you do good at Glass. You might get some business from over here then.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. But some of the best, the etched metal parts, and even a lot of the laser cutting, especially the small laser cutting stuff. The vast majority of the interesting stuff that I find is European companies doing a lot of that. There are plenty of American companies too, but a lot of European and Australian companies doing those kind of, very highly refined processes. And partly probably because of the military modeling and stuff that's so much more popular and prevalent over there. Because there's a lot of these high-end techniques are used in military.
I have a Rivarossi big boy that's plastic, and it's gray, but it's like faded because it's old. It's like it's 80s or 90s. I didn't come with a box because it was a hand-me-down from a family member, and I had somebody redo it to put in sound and DCC and different lighting features, and it was a mess. When I got it back from him, it probably sat for maybe a year after he redid everything because I couldn't run it on my layout because I had just a small DCC. I had the Bachmann one, which couldn't access all different road numbers and stuff. So I waited until I got the NCE, and it wouldn't run more than a few inches, and then it would just short out, and it's a mess. And I had the idea of, hey, I'll just take it apart and I'll see if I can find any problems with it, and I'll learn how to redo it and put it back together. And then a couple of days ago, the drawbar broke off, and I had to like re-screw it back in, and I had to take off the part of the drivetrain. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna send it to somebody and have them redo it. I'm not touching it. Diesels, sure, but that I'm not gonna mess with.
Steam locomotives are complicated creatures. Quartering the wheels, because they all have to be positioned in a certain thing. That's why the brass locomotives that I need to have torn down and redone, which is actually every locomotive I have will have to be torn down and redone because I have to put new wheels on every locomotive because I changed the flange sizes. So I have to have all that done. But it's just, I do just about everything myself. I would prefer to build from scratch just about everything. That's one thing I'm going to pay somebody that's an expert on that thing. Eventually, I may, change my tune. But if you're building a layout, you can't do everything yourself, and you can't do everything the hard way. Although I have a tendency to do everything the hard way, some things you have to just buy because none of us are immortal, and it would take 300 years to build a small layout. If you absolutely, if you rolled your own rail from stock steel or something, you can't scratch about everything. There's some buying has to be done, and some expertise that would take a lifetime to develop.
Yep. You may get bored of it real quick.
I don't think I would that's not the kind of work that I like doing. It's not the technology work I like to do. I do not like, working on an iPhone or anything. People ask me, because I work in technology, well, could you replace an iPhone screen? I mean, I could, sure. I despise that work. If I broke my own phone, I would send it off and have it fixed. Because I just hate doing it so bad. So I don't think that little twiddly. I like the twiddly detail work of building models, but inside a brass locomotive, that's machining. That's that's not artistic or scenery or any of that stuff that I enjoy. It's just everything you do is going to be hidden. It's just mechanics.
Yeah, I recently had Soundtracks put a sound and DCC decoder in my Kato FEF 844.
Yeah.
And that thing is awesome. That sounds so nice with the correct whistle and everything.
Yeah.
I saw someone had a Kato just like that one with the standard Kato sound that they'd put into them when they sold them like that, and it did not sound the same at all. Like, yeah, that actually doesn't sound like the 844. That's wrong whistle and everything. And he put, it programmed it all up for me, and I've got really nice momentum in there and all the other good sounds comes with it. And it sounds pretty good. I'm going to put a video out on it.
That's something we still lack in Steam. The diesel guys have really got that stuff down. I mean, especially ESU and Soundtracks and TCS, they've all got pretty doggone good sound for every diesel out there. I mean, to the point that ESU's got, probably 2 or 3, 4, whatever, Jeep 40s or Jeep 40-2s in different, that run different and sound different. But in Steam, that's a problem with the ESU, at least right now, especially. There's nothing out there in any of any steam locomotive I would run that ESU has. All they have is like what a Mikado would sound like, or what maybe a Pacific would sound like, but nothing, nothing like the rich library of sounds that TCS has. And if it were, I will be changing my decoders out of my Broadway Limiteds to ESU at some point, but I've got to deal with the sounds. I've got to create a sound file to be able to do that.
Yeah,
you can't just go down to a yard somewhere and record those anymore.
Right, that's right. I mean, when I get a DeLorean, that's the first thing I'm going to go do is take some microphones. But until that time,
Well, I know the 844, since it's now still running, I think Soundtracks went and actually recorded what it sounds like.
Yeah.
For their decoder, for their Steam decoder sounds.
But Steam had a lot of. Yeah. There's a lot of personality between different steam locomotives that a lot of people don't notice, but the finicky people are going to notice. But just like the finicky differences in different prime movers and the different sounds of the different Alcos from one to another, they all sounded quite different. And ESU and others have got all of those sounds correct. I think ESU's Alco diesel sound it's incredible. It's so good.
Well, I'll tell you what, Michael commented, this science experiment in the center square is hypnotizing. But I notice it's starting to bubble now. We done hit an hour. Yeah, we've done hit an hour and a half, so since it's starting to bubble, I think this is a good time for us to be leaving before it maybe blows.
The fuse has been lit.
It may blow at any time.
Well, it's finally changing color. I had to throw some copper in it to get it to change color.
But anyway, we've had a good discussion tonight. N-Scale they survived pretty good. I got a thumbs up there. So we're going to bring this one to an end. What we got next week, last week of February on the 27th, is Big Bill's, who's Big Bill talking to? He's going to have Brian Burke on. That show's at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Yeah. Then Thursday, we got the same show, Johnny Small Train Talk at 10. Then we'll be starting a new month after that. See what all happens then. So we shall see you later. Have a good weekend. Be safe. Try and stay warm if it's cold. Try and stay dry if it's wet. So y'all have a good evening. We'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later.